Hi, welcome to PMC Knives and Tools. Now, I haven't done a lot of long form videos for a while now because I haven't really had time. So I thought I would take a little chance while I've got a free hour or so to talk about my current everyday carry, specifically what I carry in the United Kingdom, the UK, in my pockets that are all UK legal when I'm outside the house. So it changes frequently, but this is what I'm carrying at this moment in time. This is what I'm finding works for me just now. So I'll go through them just in order. So at the minute, I'm really liking this Spyderco Squeak. It's a 2-inch blade. It's they call it a slip it mechanism at Spyderco, which is similar to a slip joint, but it has a notch, which allows it to have a half stop, and it works really nicely for one hand open and closing. And again, completely UK legal. All of this is UK legal carry. Has the Spyderco wire deep carry pocket clip, and these are made in Maniago, Italy, and it's N690 carbon steel. So that's one that I really like, and that's working for me at the minute. Nice, fits in the pocket, very, very light, good ergonomics in the hand. Nice one hand open and close, and just disappears. There's almost no weight to it. Then the Gerber Chonk I'm carrying a lot at the minute as well. This is what I carry in my pocket every day out and about at this moment in time. Now the Gerber Chonk, I was never sure about buying one of these. I thought maybe it was a bit of a novelty, and I've owned little mini EDC pry bars before, and honestly I wasn't totally convinced by them. I thought it was a bit of a gimmick. But I had the Gerber Chonk in my Amazon basket for so many months, maybe a year. And eventually I thought, okay, I'll try it. So I bought it, and it was about £20-ish, in the region of £20. And I have to say, I really like it. It's much more useful and much better built than the little EDC pry tools that I had tried previously. So maybe it's a question of build quality. The other ones were cheaper, thinner, whatever. This has got a great kind of dipped design. I think it's called a topographic, is what they call it. It's got real micarta inlaid scale. No particular reason, just to make it tactile. It's a very tactile tool. It's a nice thing to fidget with if you just have it in your hand. These function as little slotted screwdrivers. They will turn a Phillips as well. Nail puller, pry bar, pocket clip, bottle cap lifter, and just a really nice solid. It weighs more than the Spyderco Squeak. It's a nice solid bit of kit. Feels really good in the hand, and I have to say, I do use it more than I thought I would. So I am quite pleased that I went ahead and bought that. So that's in my pocket every day just now, along with the Squeak. And then I own a lot of Swiss Army knives, the ubiquitous Swiss Army knife. This is my Spartan. Now, this was one that I bought on sale from Amazon about 2 or 3 years ago. About 3 years ago, it was £16 at the time, or £15 maybe. It was, it was really cheap on an Amazon sale, and just at that price, I thought, well, I can't really say no. I hadn't owned a Spartan at that point. I had various other ones, but I thought, okay, the 2-layer sack. Let's try the 2-layer sack. No scissor, but I'll make do because it's got the 2 knives, and I really, really love it. I carry it an awful lot at the minute I'm carrying it every day, but I've used it and carried it more than any of my other Victorinox Swiss Army knives or other brands of Swiss Army knife that I own. I think it's the texture and the size, the ergonomics, the weight in the hand. It just feels the right. It's hard to explain. It's a very, with all these things, it's a very personal experience, but it feels good in my hand. It fits my hand. I like the weight of it. I like the thickness of it. It feels good in the pocket. And of course, it's got that Victorinox snap, which is great. Now, I'll show you the blade now. This proves how often I've used it and carried it and abused it. It is sharpened to buggery. It has really been through the wars. I have used this to cut all sorts of things that I shouldn't. Roofing felt and bitumen tar paper at work and stuff like that. Really gritty substances. In fact, straight from the box, the very first week that I owned it, I used it to cut shed roof paper, which is a mineral felt full of stones and gravel, and covered in tar, just because I happened to have it closer than my Stanley knife at that particular moment when I was working. So it's really been through the wars, and it is still razor sharp. What I do with this guy is I just sharpen it. Victorinox steel is not a hard steel, it's a soft stainless steel. So I sharpen it all the time when I use it, and I use it very, very frequently. So it gets a lot of sharpening. You can see the amount of blade wear that there is there. It's actually lost a little bit of material in the belly just from the sheer amount of sharpening it gets, but it's still very, very, very sharp. It takes a great edge, easy to sharpen. It's probably got a kind of a convex now from the amount of times I've sharpened it by hand, just from manual sharpening. Because it's my kind of daily beater, I'm not precious with it. I don't use any particularly fancy sharpening methods. I'll use whatever one's closest to hand. I own an awful lot of sharpening systems and sharpeners, so whichever one I happen to be closest to, if it's the ones I have in the kitchen, the ones I have in my shed, the ones I have in my van, in my work bag, in my bedroom, in my drawers, whatever one I'm closest to. So it could be diamond, it could be carbide, it could be whetstone, it could be electric, it could be a ceramic, it could be a honing rod. Whatever one I'm closest to is the one that I use. So I don't use a consistent sharpening method. I just quickly sharpen it by hand, get it nice and sharp, 7 out of 10 daily use sharp, and off I go all the time. And I use that constantly. You can tell from the amount of time I've spent talking about this one how fond I am of it. It's just a really, really handy tool. The Fieldmaster and the Huntsman might be a bit more useful, given they've got the saw and the scissors and the extra layer and all that stuff. But the Spartan takes a lot of beating for me as just a good, trusty, comfortable, handy, good size, cheap. It's a really nice tool. This one has a little custom-made lanyard with a Scottish thistle, made in the black and gold colours of my beloved Dumbarton Football Club that my wife made for me. So next is my Leatherman Bond. So the Leatherman Bond is based on the original Leatherman Pocket Survival tool, the PST, and it's designed for the UK market. Hence the name Bond, of course, like James Bond, and it has non-locking tools. Fantastically sharp blade from the factory. I've only had to strop this once or twice, and I don't use any other sharpening method, just a leather strop on this. The edge on it is phenomenal. It's just the ordinary Leatherman 420 HC steel, which is pretty soft, but I like this one. But although they don't lock, they do have a great mechanism here. There's a notch in the back of the tool, on the back of the blade, that hooks into this metal tab here, and it holds really well. It's, you would think you need to put quite a bit of pressure to break that open to close it again. So you would think it does lock almost. It's a really useful tool, UK legal, and feels good in the hand, nice and light, quite traditional as well. It's not all fancy bells and whistles like the Arc or the Wave or the Free or one of these, the Surge TTI. It doesn't feel huge in the pocket like a Charge or something. It's a nice classic style, and it does all the bits and bobs that you need to do. Now the pliers on this open really wide as well, so you can actually get onto 15mm and 1/2 inch nuts and stuff, no problem at all, with room to spare. It's a really, really nice bit of kit, and I like how light it is. And I like how simple it is. I own lots of other multi-tools, lots of other Leathermans and other brands, but I like the simplicity of this one. Also, it has a really good file, which is so unusual in a multi-tool. Multi-tool files are usually terrible, but the crosscut and slatted file on this is excellent. So that's my Leatherman Bond. That takes care of any plier tool style stuff that I need. Next is a simple engineer's, maybe not that simple, an engineer's pen. It has a spirit level, it has metric and imperial rule, It has a stylus for when I'm using my tablet. It has a pen, of course, wouldn't be much good without it. And in here, if you untwist the stylus, it has little precision screwdrivers as well. It's a double-ended bit, so it's got Phillips, micro Phillips on this end, and if you pull it out and reverse it, micro slotted on the other. So that's a bit of a novelty maybe, but it's, I have to be honest, I find it quite useful, and I do use it regularly. So that little engineer's pen is getting a lot of carry at the minute. And then last but not least, just a very simple pen torch. This is an Energizer, and it's the PLM22, so it just takes 2 AAA batteries. It's not hugely bright, but it works very well for, you know, if I'm coming home late at night and it's dark and I need to get my keys in the door type thing. Just a really, really simple, very, very light pen, and I don't need to worry about recharging it with USB and all this stuff. I bought this one specifically for the diameter. I wanted it to be pen sized. So that covers all the bases that I need. So general cutting tasks, prying tasks and bottle opening, utilitarian bit of everything, more heavy use, tool use, measuring, writing, and light. And in that way, I do a bit of everything. And people might say that, oh, you've forgotten this, so you need to add this, and how could you use this? But remember, these things are completely subjective. Yes, there will be some people out there that say you need to have a lighter or a ferro rod or a first aid kit and God knows what else. But again, these are just completely personal experiences, completely subjective. And these 6 things on the table just now are things that I'm finding useful at the minute in my life. And when I'm out and about at home, you know, leaving the house to go and do domestic chores and errands and all this kind of stuff. Not necessarily stuff that I would do at work. At work, I have a full van, a full toolkit, a full toolbox, tool bags, tool cases, tool chests. This is just stuff that I use in my everyday life when I'm leaving the house, so that I have handy things on my person that are within the laws in the United Kingdom, so that I'm staying on the right side of the law and still being useful to myself and others. So that's my list for today. Hope you enjoyed that. Be sure to follow.